Hola guys, how are you today? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a long time since I've just sat down and made a video for you guys. I actually did one a few weeks ago and the audio was really rubbish, so I've actually got a new microphone, so we're going to see how that goes. But anyway, today is quite an exciting video. It's one I've been planning to do for a while. So obviously, when you're suffering with intrusive thoughts and you are suffering with obsessive compulsive disorder, one of your biggest compulsions is probably researching. Now, when I was in my worst stages of it, I was constantly researching. Once I'd made that decision to search online for some kind of comfort and to find other people that were going through the same thing as me, I found loads of different articles, and I'm sure if you are suffering, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you find an article or you find like a post or you find something like that you really relate to, then you will read it and read it and read it a million times over and over again until you feel reassured. Oh my god, it's been a long time, I'm sorry. So there's one article that I found. I will pop it up on the screen now. This is from The Mighty, and it's actually a really good article because it is something that's just been brought out, and there'll be people reading this that have never even experienced this before, and they'll be like, whoa, I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, I really like this article, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to read every single one of these intrusive thoughts and let you know if I have had experience with them. So the article is 29 Intrusive Thoughts You Are Not the Only One Having. It was by Sarah Schuster and it was published on February the 15th of 2017. So let's go straight ahead with number one. I always feel like everyone is looking at me and laughing no matter what it is. If someone is laughing at me, it has to be... if someone is laughing, it has to be at me. If people are talking, it's about me. Okay, so personally, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have not struggled with this one. For me, this thought is more of an anxiety, generalized anxiety based thought. When you struggle with anxiety, you are, in a sense, quite paranoid. You constantly believe that you've done something wrong, or that you have said something that may upset someone, and that's what they're talking about. And to an extent, I have dealt with this, but yeah, this thought is definitely one of the more lighter side of the intrusive thoughts. So let's move on to number two. I think people do see me as a burden. I'm not really like that much, and my friends just tolerate me because they feel sorry for me. Now, again, this is definitely an intrusive thought that is very common. I know for a fact that I have met people who really do struggle with this, and again, personally, I did probably struggle with this a lot more when I was a teenager. Now I'm a lot better in the sense of self-confidence. However, when I was really struggling with the peak of the intrusive thoughts, towards the end of me trying to get help, I did see myself as a burden to other people, family, friends, and that they only were helping me because they have to, or because they felt sorry for me. And yeah, so let's move on to the next. Number three. I think something truly awful is about to happen. I'll see really graphic and violent scenes play out in front of me in my mind. I'll walk into a room expecting to see a dead body, or pull a shower curtain back expecting to see someone hanging in there. It's strange and frustrating. There never seems to be an obvious cause or trigger, but it's really upsetting. Okay, now this is probably more in the reign of things that I have experienced personally. Yeah, I can 100% relate to this intrusive thought. So, you genuinely see you're always expecting the worst, and when I say the worst, it's not just the worst case scenario, it's the worst case scenario. If a really common one, let's start from there, is that, for example, if someone doesn't answer the phone straight away, automatically your brain will be like, oh my god, they've been in a car crash. That is this thought summed up constantly, no matter what you do. So yeah, exactly like what they said here. I walk into a room expecting to see a dead body, or I pull a shower curtain back expecting to see someone hanging in there. Yeah, it's not nice, and it's very common. Number 4, I have random thoughts of hurting myself badly. Like, I'll be chopping veggies with a big knife and my brain will go, you could just put that through your hand. I never would, but it scares me that my brain chooses to acknowledge that I could. It always comes at the most random times too. Yeah, again, 100% in my area of intrusive thoughts. Like I've said in my past video, I used to constantly be worried that I was going to hurt myself. I'm sure people have had, thoughts of driving into oncoming traffic. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with these thoughts. They are horrible. They are not nice. Personally, from my experience, I find the thoughts a little bit easier to manage when they're about myself, about harming myself. However, for me, it's more about hurting other people that I really, really struggle with. That's my struggle. So, yeah. Number 5. I'm not a violent person, but I used to get very violent. Horrific, intrusive thoughts, which terrifies me. I got to the point where I became phobic of knives and scissors. The phobia still lingers now, but it's lessening. Yeah. Obviously, obsessive compulsive disorder is the obsession, the compulsion, the obsession and the compulsion is there. So we have something going on right now that is a thought about being scared they're going to hurt yourself or hurt someone else. So naturally, your compulsion is to get rid of the trigger. So your compulsion would be to hide knives, hide scissors, make sure that you didn't touch them, make sure you didn't cook any food. Yeah, so not nice. Definitely not nice. Number 6, incest. I hate it and I'm so afraid of it that I would sometimes avoid being near family members. Yeah. It's really hard to talk about, and it's really embarrassing to talk about, and I can imagine that a lot of people won't understand it, and to be honest, I didn't understand it, and so why would somebody else? So I would never put pressure on somebody to try and understand it. Just like if you do want to do a little bit more research on that, just have a look at obsessive compulsive disorder and intrusive thoughts about sexually taboo subjects. And yeah, we'll move on a little bit. Number 7, I don't really love my significant other when really he's the most important person in the world to me. Right. I've not felt this more recently. I've not really felt this. However, taking it away from significant other, I did actually go through a really long period, I say long period, but this is a long period of 2 weeks, where I had it in my head that I just didn't love my mum. And I did. She was the most important person in the world. She was the only person that was there and knew what was going on with me. So naturally, my OCD attacked the one thing that I cared about the most, and kind of tried to tell me that I didn't love my mum. So I remember actually telling her, I was like, Mum, right, I definitely must have been about 8 or 9, and I was just like, Mum, no, I was definitely older than that actually. I was probably about 12, yeah. And I was like, Mum, I'm really, really sorry. I need to tell you something. I need to get off my chest and that. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's overwhelming, and this big anxiety ball came over me, and I was like, I don't think I love you. And my poor mum, bless her, she was like, okay. She was like, no worries, well, I love you, and that's all that matters. And I was like, okay, but that's not right, I should love you. And she was like, no, you don't need to love me, that's fine. I just love you, and that's all that matters. And then I was awful. I remember singing that song by Rihanna that was I hate you. I hate how much I love you, boy. Remember singing it to myself in the mirror, over and over and over again, because if I kept singing it, that's what it meant. I hated how much I loved my mum, and that's why I was trying to reverse it. And yeah, it's so silly. I'm just gonna move on because that's embarrassing. Cool. Number 8. My children would be better off with a better mum, and my husband only stays because I'm free daycare. No one loves me and would be better if I just disappeared. Okay, I don't have children, so yeah, I've not lived that stage of my life to be able to have those kind of thoughts just yet. However, I have got a friend who does experience these kind of thoughts, and it's honestly truly, truly horrible, and it's not something that you would like to be going through every single day, you know, thinking that you're not good enough, thinking that you're not good enough mum. Yeah, it's really not nice, and I can imagine it can be a terrible, terrible thing to have to go through. Number 9, murder. I'm afraid of losing control of myself or consciousness. While I'm out, I'll murder the person closest to me. I have dreams about the imagery. It's a scary existence when you can't get away from your own mind. I mean, that thought was self-explanatory in itself. Yeah, it's awful. I know people that have had to physically like locked themselves in their bedroom and put cameras on them because they didn't trust their own mind to like not hurt someone. And these are the most caring, kindest people I've ever met in my entire life, and they wouldn't even harm a fly, and they're having like these most horrific thoughts of hurting somebody that's just like, it would just never happen. And it's awful. Yeah, I wouldn't say experience with murder. I was never scared that I was going to hurt somebody, or never scared that I was going to kill somebody. However, I was definitely scared that would have done something that wouldn't look like murder. So like, I was scared that I may have poisoned somebody and that I wouldn't know, or that they wouldn't know, or that when I say poison somebody, it was because I'd not made enough effort to make sure that area was like safe or clean, or the utensils I was using was clean. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Number 10, I'm going to skim over because it was like the previous one, which was put your hand on the hot stove or the hot oven, staple your hand, put your pinky in the pencil sharpener, stick a fork in the electric socket. I can go on and on forever. Yeah, that's it. 11, I get thoughts / impulses like pour the hot water on yourself when pouring the water from the kettle, or put your hand in the flame, usually when I'm feeling very pressured and anxious. I see myself sitting on the window ledge ready to jump, or walking to the window to throw myself out with a sudden urge to do it. Yeah, another one. I'm just going to group these ones together, so we're on 13 now. Hello, you're seeing Editing Beth right now. I'm fully aware that you're going to jump straight from 11 to 13, and I don't know what happened. Yeah, just obviously missed out on myself. Enjoy the rest of the video. Horrible images of me hurting someone, or me being sliced with a knife by someone. I could never physically hurt someone, so those ones are very disturbing, as I wonder if I'm an evil person who secretly wants to do those things. Yes. Yeah, that is it really in a nutshell. And you just decide that one day, like, you definitely didn't deserve to be like a happy person. Yeah. And because you've had these intrusive thoughts, like, there is definitely something there that means you want to do those things, and I promise you don't want to do those things. And it's just so frustrating to have to read out loud, because I know that people won't understand it all, and that's why I do this. So I'm going to move on, because I'm going to get into a totally separate rant. Number 14. I have 3 young nephews I love to death, but I'm often scared to be near them sometimes, even though I know I would never act on my thoughts, because I find them so disturbing and would hate to inflict that kind of pain to my nephews. Since I've had to live with the aftermath of that happening to me, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So obviously, people that have been in situations where they have been like abused when they were younger, can then have thoughts of them doing that to other people when they get older, and that's how it can manifest. But I just want to stress that those kind of thoughts can also be present if you haven't had any past trauma. So don't necessarily feel like if you are having those thoughts that you've had trauma that you don't know about, because I promise you, like, if I'm going to be an open book right now, I have struggled with these intrusive thoughts, and nothing like that has ever happened to me. There's been no trauma. I've had nothing like that happen in the past. So I just wanted to reiterate that I don't want you to watch this video and think, well, I have those thoughts and I've not been like abused, because you don't need to have been abused to have those thoughts, and it doesn't mean that you haven't, you've forgotten. So please don't do that, because I know that you're going to take it away from this video and be like, well, I don't want that to be something that you try and ruminate on, because you don't need to ruminate on it. You can have those kind of thoughts without having any past experience as well. So Number 15, I have endless intrusive thoughts, mostly due to the OCD. The ones I have trouble with the most have to do with concentrating. No, I cannot read to save my life. The most often have to do with contracting or being unaware that I have a deadly disease. The ones that cause me more anxiety, but the less... What? Oh my god, I need to go to school and take reading classes, clearly. Take 3. I have endless intrusive thoughts, mostly due to OCD. The ones I have trouble with the most often have to do with contracting or being unaware I have a deadly disease. The ones that cause me more anxiety, I think of less frequently, have to do with insects, are extremely violent images that replay over and over, like thinking of a fun outing the next day with a friend and imagining them being crushed or killed over and over again in a specific way. Bruh. Like, yeah. It's horrible. Okay, number 16, when my intrusive thoughts were really bad, I would picture pulling the wheel or crashing and getting hit by a truck and burning my skin off with a lighter. Luckily, I found something that helped me, and those are no longer present. Most recently, they've presented in my dreams. I'll have dreams that I randomly start bleeding from every hole in my whole body, and it's pretty scary. Don't get me started on dreams. I have the most crazy dreams in the world. That's another video. that is another video. I have some crazy dreams. I think it's partly due to the antidepressants, because they can make you have really strange dreams, but honestly, yeah, that's a separate video entirely. But yeah, obviously, like I said, having a car crash and stuff is quite a really common one. 17 is one I've already read. So I'm not good enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm an evil person, my family would be better about me. Number 18, I get a voice telling me you should kill yourself, except it's my own voice. Kind of confusing, but it makes sense to me. It's always more prominent when I'm having a stressful or downtime, louder and more frequent. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere too. It's so frustrating. Now, suicidal OCD is actually really horrible, because if you get it stuck in your head that you should harm yourself, it can be really difficult, because you may be like, whoa, is this, is this what it feels like to be suicidal? But realistically, no, you're just having intrusive thoughts, and those intrusive thoughts are trying to tell you to be suicidal, because OCD targets the thing that means the most to you, and maybe your whole life means the most to you, and your life is definitely worth living. So if you are having suicidal thoughts, then I just want to tell you right now that no matter what you think or say or do, your life is worth living, and if you need anything, you know where I am. Cool. I used to have to repeat things in my head 24 hours a day, like who the Prime Minister is at that time. If I didn't do it, I used to believe I wouldn't know the answer, and that would mean my brain tumour would be true. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. So this is the first time I'm reading this article, by the way. Yeah, I also agree with this massively. Yeah. I've had to have this millions of times. I used to think that if I didn't check in the mirror constantly over and over again, to make sure that my face wasn't drooping on one side, I was ignoring the symptoms of a stroke. Yeah, so I had to get up constantly every 5 minutes when I was trying to sleep and being like, nope, I need to check. And I was checking constantly in the mirror to see if this side of my face had gone numb. And once you focus on it enough, realistically, you can start to feel sensations aren't even there, and you're like, oh my god, no, it feels numb, I am bright, I am dying. Yeah, life. Cool. When I'm on the subway platform, I get intrusive thoughts of what if I jumped. Yeah. 21, just drive your car into the guardrail, hit it going 70 and maybe it'll kill you. Yeah. 22, constantly get intrusive thoughts that I have done something morally wrong. I know I would never do these things, but the fear remains. I don't know what that was, but that I'll tell you what that was. That was me. That was me. Morally wrong. I have everything that I ever think its underlying message is that is morally wrong, and you should know that, and you should never have either done it or thought about it or the mere thought in my head, I have catastrophizing thinking, or whatever the word is. I have thought action fusion, which I believe that the thought itself is just as bad as the action. So I believe that having a thought about an action is just as bad and just as morally wrong as if I'd have done that action. So I really struggle with having immoral thoughts and believing that thoughts are not real, like they're not real, they're literally like nothing, they're not real things, and differentiating that between someone going out and doing those things. So to put it into perspective, and I'm spending too much time on this, but to put it into perspective, let's just use the car crash one as an example. If I'm driving along the road and I think I could swerve this car onto oncoming traffic, like that one, that to me, I'm kind of coming again a lot better right now, but that to me would have been pretty much as morally wrong as actually doing it. So I would have basically lived my life for the foreseeable weeks until that thought had diminished, basically being like, no, like how can I live my life now? How can I live my life knowing that I even thought about driving my car into oncoming traffic? Like that's not okay, and that's morally wrong. And yeah, I could not deal with it. So yeah, there we go. That's that. Let's move on. Where are we up to? Oh, 23. I always see things happening to my kids, like scenes playing out in my head that I'm dropping the baby over a railing, that my toddler runs behind the car and the driver and the car backs over, and it makes me sick. Yeah. You know why you're getting that thought? Because your kids mean that much to you. I'm not even going to go into it because that is it. Your kids mean that much. They mean the most to you. You love them more than anything in the world. Your worst fear is something happening to them. So naturally, your weird brain decides to make you think about it 24 hours a day. 24, he doesn't love you, nobody loves you, you don't deserve happiness, it's all going to crash around you, he's going to leave, you do too much, he hates you and he's using you. Intense, yeah. Ooh, intense. Relationship OCD can be an absolute sucker. It can just, like, again, your relationship means that much to you and it means the most things in the world to you that you decide to constantly believe that it's going to end. 25. While driving, I often have the thought of driving into the oncoming lane and causing an accident. This one is scary for me. Been there, done that, bought a t-shirt. 26. Harming my children. Then I have self-loathing thoughts about what a bad mum I am for thinking that. I'm not even a mum and I have to deal with it, so staying away from the kids' lane for a while. 27. Since I was a kid, I've got a mental image of a needle slowly piercing an eyeball. It's a lot less troubling now. I've actually had a needle pierce my eyeball. Obviously not while I was awake, just when I had my eye surgery. But now I'm thinking about it a lot. 28. You're a failure and a burden to everyone around you. 29. The final thought on this list. I am the worst person in the world. I do everything wrong and I constantly hurt the people I love. Maybe they would be better off without me. Before this, it mixed with the idea that I am dangerous and that I made things worse. Now I've almost gotten over the idea, but it comes back when the anxiety is really bad. When those thoughts get really bad, I isolate myself. It's a fight, a very tough fight, but a fight that I am going to win. Oh my God, I love that. Why do I love that? Because I think, you know what, I make these videos to try and be educational and also a little more light-hearted around the situation. There's nothing light-hearted about this mental disorder. There's nothing light-hearted at all about it, you know. The reason I'm pausing and I don't know what to say is because I'm still at the early stages of talking about this, so I don't want you to think like that I am not giving out enough information. Like, when I used to watch videos, I used to be like, tell me more, because I need reassurance. And the reason I don't come out with too much detail is, one, I don't want to trigger you. I don't want you to be constantly watching the videos for reassurance, because it doesn't work. I want people to watch this who have never suffered, or maybe have a family member suffering, to know that, fuck, like, it's hard to live with. Little baby Beth has had to deal with it since she can remember. And I'm sure you have too, or I'm sure your family member has too. And whoever it is, or whatever reason you've decided to click on this video, just remember that you are a happy person. You make people happy. And just because you have a thought about driving your car into oncoming traffic, or that you're scared of being a bad mum, or that you're scared of hurting someone or yourself, or, you know, you're putting off having children because you're scared you're going to bloody hurt them, just know that everything you're doing is letting it win. And you don't want that, because you're going to win. It's a fight, a very tough fight, but a fight that you're going to win. And whoever said that, yes, preach it, because you are going to win it, and you always need to remember that. From now on, I am not sure what I was going to say. I'm going to go, because this video is already going to be too long for my liking. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if it was informative. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Why did I just ask you that like I was asking you to, like, to go get me a drink? Like, I was like, oh, just don't forget, please can you get me a drink? That's how, like, I just said that. Right, I'm gonna go, because that just made no sense. Love you lots. See you later. Have a good day. Don't ruminate. Don't over obsess. Stop looking for reassurance. Go out and ride your bike, or whatever you want to do. Just stop going on the internet and looking for YouTube videos to help you, because once a day is enough. Love you. Bye.